In the heart of West Africa, a voice rises above the din of bustling markets and crowded streets, a voice that echoes through the alleys. It is the voice of Guy Marius Sagna, the Senegalese firebrand who has become the beacon of hope and defiance against the lingering shadows of colonialism. Guy Marius Sagna's voice booms through the air, echoing off the walls of colonial-era buildings. His words are a clarion call to justice, piercing through the noise of daily life and resonating deeply with the hearts of his fellow countrymen. Sagna's journey from a humble background to the forefront of the anti-colonialism movement has been nothing short of extraordinary. Guy Marius Sagna was born in the coastal town of Ziguinchor, Senegal in the early 1980s. His childhood was marked by the rich cultural tapestry of Senegal, a nation with a history of resistance and resilience against colonial powers. Growing up in a family that valued education and social justice, Sagna was exposed to the stories of Senegalese heroes who fought for independence. His parents, both educators, instilled in him a deep sense of justice and the importance of standing up for what is right. We talk about food security, but we must move towards food sovereignty, because what is food security if the main thing is that the population eats? It doesn't matter if what they eat comes from France, the United States, China, or Russia. We remain dependent, or ECOWAS must move towards sovereignty. That's what the African youth screams and cries out, and we remain deaf to this youth. We remain deaf to these women. We remain deaf to our people. Sagna's thirst for knowledge led him to Dakar, where he pursued higher education in sociology and political science at Cheikh Anta Diop University. His academic journey was more than just a pursuit of degrees. It was a quest to understand the systemic issues plaguing his nation and continent. Sagna's studies provided him with the analytical tools to dissect the socio-political and economic structures that perpetuated inequality and neo-colonialism in Africa. His professors noted his keen intellect and passion for justice, often describing him as a student destined for greatness. Africa, we need to decolonize our minds and stop saying we are poor. We are impoverished by our own regimes and presidents who make poor decisions, misappropriate, create funds, follow IMF and World Bank policies and maintain colonial currencies like the CFA franc.
Qui sont des options de suivisme vis-à-vis du FMI et de la Banque mondiale, qui sont des options de maintien d'une monnaie néocoloniale qui est le franc CFA, qui sont des options.
There's an alternative to these policies.
À l'époque, on a dit there is no alternative. Il n'y a pas d'alternative. Taina, there is no alternative.
If even a child knows that if something doesn't work for 50 years is alter, you must change the past. Young people are calling for change the path, of sovereignty rupture and transformation.
Le chemin de la souveraineté, le chemin de la rupture, le chemin du changement.
While at university, Sagna's involvement in student organizations and civil society groups deepened his commitment to activism. His grassroots mobilization efforts were driven by a belief that real change starts from the ground up. Sagna's ability to connect with people from all walks of life made him a beloved figure in his community. He organized workshops, rallies, and community meetings, using every opportunity to educate people about their rights and the importance of challenging neo-colonial structures. One of the defining issues of Sagna's activism has been his vehement opposition to the CFA franc, a currency used by several West African countries but controlled by the French treasury. Sagna argues that the CFA franc is a relic of colonialism that stifles economic growth and perpetuates dependency on France. His protests against the CFA franc began gaining traction, drawing the attention of both national and international media. In 2019, during a protest against a hike in electricity prices, a move Sagna saw as emblematic of the broader economic mismanagement and exploitation by foreign interests. He was arrested for the first time. His detention was a calculated attempt by the authorities to silence a growing dissenting voice. However, the arrest only served to galvanize his supporters and draw greater attention to his cause. Sagna's time in detention was marked by defiance. He refused to be cowed by intimidation emerging more resolute than ever. In November 2019, he was again arrested during a large demonstration against the CFA franc. The sight of Sagna being dragged away by police sparked international outrage, with human rights organizations condemning the Senegalese government's attempts to stifle free speech. In 2020, as the world grappled with the COVID-19 pandemic, Sagna turned his attention to the Senegalese government's response to the crisis. He criticized the authorities for their handling of the pandemic, highlighting the disproportionate impact on the poor and marginalized communities. His outspoken criticism led to yet another arrest, but this time, the detention sparked widespread protests across Senegal. The people's demand for Sagna's release became a rallying cry for broader reforms. Sagna's multiple arrests caught the attention of international human rights organizations. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and other advocacy groups began to spotlight his plight, calling for his release and condemning the Senegalese government's repression. This international support not only brought global attention to his cause, but also provided a layer of protection against the worst excesses of state repression. In 2023, in a dramatic turn of events, Sagna's relentless pursuit of justice was rewarded when he was elected as a speaker in the ECOWAS parliament. His election was seen as a significant victory for grassroots activists and a testament to his unwavering commitment to his cause. In the ECOWAS parliament, Sagna found a platform to advocate for economic independence, social justice, and regional integration. Sagna has been a relentless advocate for the abolition of the CFA franc, the expulsion of foreign military forces from West Africa, and the establishment of equitable trade practices. His speeches in Parliament are nothing short of electrifying, often leaving his colleagues and constituents in awe of his passion and clarity of vision. Sagna's proposals, though radical to some, have sparked important debates about the future of the region. Sagna's role in ECOWAS has also allowed him to build alliances with like-minded leaders from other West African nations. Sagna's ability to bring people together and inspire collective action has been instrumental in advancing his legislative agenda. From his position in the ECOWAS Parliament, Sagna's voice has reached far beyond the borders of Senegal. He's become a global symbol of resistance against neo-colonialism, invited to speak at international forums and conferences. His message resonates with people around the world who see in him a reflection of their own struggles for justice and self-determination. Back in Senegal, Sagna's influence continues to grow. His community projects, now supported by a network of local and international allies, are making tangible differences in the lives of the people. Schools, healthcare centers, and economic cooperatives are springing up, fueled by the energy of Sagna's movement. Despite his growing influence, Sagna's path remains fraught with challenges. The constant threat of arrest and harassment looms over him and his family. Yet Sagna's resolve remains unbroken. His wife and children, though often worried for his safety, are his pillars of strength, sharing in his vision for a better future. Marius Sagna stands as a sentinel of hope. His journey, marked by struggle and sacrifice, continues to inspire millions. In the relentless pursuit of justice and sovereignty, Sagna's story is a beacon, a cinematic saga of one man's crusade against the enduring legacy of colonialism, lighting the way for Africa's future, as Sagna, undeterred and unyielding, prepares for the battles that lie ahead. His voice, a clarion call for freedom and justice, echoes through the ages,